daily drivers. This week we are coming at you from Lake Murray State Park in southern Oklahoma, and we're down here on spring break and just trying to enjoy things. It's been a little bit of a different experience. We've gotten down below freezing and sustained winds at 40 and gusts at 55 to 60. So it was some fun times the first night or two. So we've gotten set up here. Looks like we might get some neighbors, who knows? But got set up. Today is the first decent day that we've had, where it is in the 60s right now and the wind's down below 10 miles an hour. So we're in site 54 and we do have an opening next to us, so y'all come on down and join us. But you see, it's a pretty full park. What I'd like to do in this week's video though is to share this park with you a little bit, but would also like to let you see what we've had to do to get here. We had to unwinterize or de-winterize Pearl, and well, let's just say there was lots to be done. So a lot of little things that had to be done to get her ready to come out to enjoy this location. Well, looks like today we're going to tackle a few little projects here that have stacked up over the winter. We're just going to make sure that we fix a few things and get ready for our next little outing. So join me. I'm sure a lot of these things have happened to you or will. So first things, I came in here and turned on reinstalled my water pump and turned on this faucet, and looky there, my little I guess you just want to call that the diffuser, fell out. And I just noted that this little keeper ring is broken. As a matter of fact, a piece of it's still in there, so it won't go back in. So we're gonna have to take this off. And so I went to the local RV dealer and went through their parts department and got a replacement. So let's get to work on this. All right, off with the old. And on with the new. There we go. Good to go. Okay, so the second fix of the day has to do with, that's our black tank vent. And I'll show you what happened there. As you can see, just make note of that JB Weld looking connection. All right, so this is the brass connection that goes on that black tank fitting. With most repairs, you do have to kind of think about, you don't want to really use your RV as a work bench per se. And I'm lucky enough, I'm doing these repairs at the house, and so I'm out in my garage on my workbench. And anyway, so if I make a mess, I'm hoping to make it in here. But anyway, so I'm going to be using this JB Weld. It's the world's strongest bond. I've used this stuff so many times, I don't pay any attention to the instructions. I'm going to use the box as my mixing tray, little surface. So, looks like they give you a mixer of sorts. All right. So, pop that off. Pop this into place. Boom. And then push this down through the little mixing tube. That ought to be plenty. I would sure hope so. See how this works. Said this is going to be out of sight, out of mind, down underneath the access panel, and it's not going to have to hold pressure that I'm aware of. So I'm going to gob this stuff on here. Sets in 15 minutes. So I'll probably have to put this up there and then figure out a way to kind of hold it up in place while I'm doing that. So while I'm doing that, I'll let you guys go grab some popcorn or some snacks, and I'll show you how I end up doing it. All right, so the concept is going to be, I think this will be roughly the same height, and I'm just going to lay this on top of this so it's in place. Dadgummit. Nah. Okay, so I've got it precariously propped up there, and hopefully that will allow it to set up. Okay, so one of the other things that I am doing is, this is a 20-ton bottle jack. So Pearl does not come with, you can't use like a regular floor jack. She, weighs almost 12,000 pounds. Then you put gear in her, and you might as well just count on almost 13,000 pounds. And so, to safely lift her, you would need over really a 7-ton jack. And so, anyway, I've got this 20-ton. It's a Pittsburgh. It's one of the Harbor Freight, but I've used this one for a while. And anyway, it ended up, I'm having to add some oil back to it. It ended up freezing up because it got stuck in place. And so I am replacing the oil and filling it up. So what I read online was that you needed to have the jack ram all the way up, have this all the way down, and put your fill plug horizontal. So you're supposed to add oil. I'm put on my spectacles here until it just doesn't seem right. Okay, until this overflows. So I am letting that go in there, trying to not cause too much of a mess. Mostly want to get this done so that I know I have a way to, you know, jack pearl up, just so that if we've got an emergency and we need to, you know, change a tire, something of that nature. We do have roadside assistance with our RV service plan that we purchased whenever we purchased Pearl. But this just, if you guys can't tell from, you know, from previous videos, I'm kind of a DIYer. I like to do things myself and be sure they're done the right way. I like to do things myself. I mean, it drives me crazy to be dependent upon other people, just to be very frank, especially those that are going to charge me a lot of money for their assistance. Another thing that we're needing to fix real quick is the, we call it the mini Stinky Slinky. But this van has a built-in, one, it has a macerator pump, and then it has your sewer hose on a little hose reel. And it's a smaller than usual sewer hose. Instead of being roughly, you know, like this in diameter, it's like so. And so it has a macerator pump, meaning it pumps and chews up. It has a blade that spins in there and kind of chews stuff up to make sure it's nice and fine to go out the waste hose. So that is housed in here, but it's housed right in here, and the controls are right here. So I'm going to release this just a tad, because yes, I have a leak on this. I'll have to figure out how to necessarily get all this off and taken care of here. Okay, so we're going to try a couple of different options. I literally just need to get this off, and then I'll take it into the workshop and finish it off. I don't know if this will do the job very well or not. Looks like it is. So now I'll try to make it a nice kind of semi-smooth cut. So I've got that. Now let's take this inside the shop and get this clamp off and deal with that. Okay, so we're gonna try to get this clamp and this rest of this hose off so that we can replace the hose and clamp on here. I've already got my replacement clamp I'm gonna use. I think that'll work just fine, yep. And so, alright, so I have decided to just, instead of trying to pry it off and break something else, I'm just gonna cut this thing. This little piece of hose off. Really hope I didn't break anything on that. Really do hope. Let's go out there and get this done. All right, so Now we've got our hose. So I can get down here. I'm an old fella. I use the old trick of putting some leaves under my knee. Right. So let's slip this back over here. That's shoved up into place. All right, so now should be as simple as we made sure that was tight, and now all we gotta do is retract. All right, next thing we're gonna do is take care of some def. Boy howdy, my grandson out here, and he's a handful. He's a handful. So anyway, back to this. So I've already changed my air filter, my cabin air filter, and I did an oil change recently. And then let me show you what I did in regard to the fuel filter. I also changed the fuel filter as preventive maintenance. I should have already changed this several times, but we hit 50,000 miles. I wanted to make sure that I got the fuel filter changed. We've been having some recent problems with having the a check engine light come on, and it was basically saying that the DPF filter or system was not happy. It didn't like the way the regen cycles were going. So that can be part of that. I do not want to have to replace a DPF, filter on this thing. So anyway, trying to make sure all the preventive maintenance is done. Now, if you look right down in here, that is the fuel filter, and you just have to take off basically the air filter and cleaner, this hose, and unplug a couple of things off of that. And it has three little bolts, little hex bolts that, or Torx bolts. No, I'm sorry. It has three little Torx bolts that hold that on. I actually ended up using an 8mm socket to take them off, so you can do that as well. It just comes up out of there, and you put the new one back in place. Hey, so this is our DEF fill. Most of you, I'm sure, are familiar that newer diesels, at least the last 10 years or so, you have to add diesel exhaust fluid, or DEF for short. And it keeps it from getting all, releasing the black smokes and goodness gracious, all those things. I swear I'm not that weak, but sometimes that's the one thing about DEF is it crystallizes. If you can see it down in there, it crystallizes. So if you spill any around here or get it all over the place, it literally turns into a white hard crystal, and it's also pretty corrosive. So we're about a quarter tank on the DEF, and so I'm gonna go ahead and top it off while I've got the chance here. We end up buying the Peak Blue DEF from Costco, and it usually runs about $13. Matter of fact, they even had a further sale on it, and I was getting it for $11 this last go around. So Anyway, it's pretty simple deal here. I'm gonna set this box down. So you just take this out of the box. Has its own little screw-on little nozzle, and that way you don't spill everything all over the place. I usually just go ahead and kind of tilt it and let it get on down in there, and I just kind of let it slowly. Just don't get in a hurry, because you don't want to get this all over you. That probably pretty much topped that off. Put this back on here. So we have checked everything. Like I said, we know we have a recent oil change, air filter, cabin air filter, fuel filter or diesel fuel filter. We've topped off our DEF. Coolant levels looking great. And hey, not really a whole lot more to take a look at, other than I can see my brake fluids looking good. So there we go. Okay, hi, what is your name?
Bennett.
You see, this is Bennett. Bennett is about that tall, and he stands up straight. All right, let's see how this is going under here, and see if we I think we're gonna be okay. All right, so we're showing, hey, it is 67 degrees outside. The temperature temperature's okay, but the clock is wrong, that's for sure. There's our DEF level. So we are good to go. We were right at full. Well, we got ourselves a little predicament here on Pearl. I discovered a leak as I was basically just getting things ready to winterize. I discovered that the pump would not shut off, and I was like, where is this water going? And I ended up seeing water just pouring out from underneath the van and underneath the water heater. So I did what anyone would do, and I started removing the boxes from around it, and took the side off. I just took the little metal back side of the water heater enclosure off, and yeah, saw that big old hole rupture. So I'll have to figure out what to do with that now. Well, appeared to have developed a black tank leak. I think it has to do with my vent overflowing, but we'll see. So real quick here, just wanted to show, to fix this black tank vent leak for good, we're going to use this Gorilla caulk and seal. It's weatherproof. Supposed to work window, door, kitchen, bath, waterproof, and we're going to put that around that vent and hopefully seal it up for good this time. So I just wanted to show real quick. Here is my caulking job, and so we're gonna hope that that sets up and Takes care of our little leaking issue around that vent. I just wanted to run you through a couple of more things that I did get done prior to setting out on a little outing during spring break. What I'm going to show you here real quick is regarding our batteries. So we have two AGM batteries that are 80 amp hours apiece, and for a total of 160 amp hours, but you can only use half of them because they're not lithium, so we get 80 amp hours. Guys, we were doing good to get 6 hours, maybe 8 hours out of our batteries, just running the monitoring systems and the refrigerator, water pump once in a while, and maybe charging a phone or two. I was like, how can this even be? I mean, these batteries are 2 years old. So I called the guy at Camperland in Tulsa and discussed with him exactly what I have, in this 2018 Airstream Interstate GT. And he just wanted me to tell him, which inverter I had and the model, and so in the charger. And so he looked at everything, and he thinks it should be pretty much plug and play, other than needing to change out the charge controller. So this is my Magnum charge controller, an inverter controller. And let me just kind of show you. I mean, basically, right now we're plugged in, and up here, we show plugged in. We can pick the service. We're 30 amp service coming in right now. But this Magnum controller, if I go through the menu, it shows I'm getting 30 amps in. Now, battery hours. This sets the number of amp hours I have for the battery bank. Well, this was not set on 200. It was set on like 100. And the battery type was set on AGM, but as you can see here, the charge rate was only showing 50%. So once again, I can change that to where it's charging 100%. Anyway, my settings were all off. So I went in there and I changed all these settings, and I let Pearl go overnight, and I let her go 10 hours. I let her go 12 hours. We went 12 hours on a single charge. And the solar was keeping up with, keeping the batteries at 100%. So basically, it went overnight and the majority of the next day on that single charge. So I was very pleased just to know that, hey, I just honestly had never messed with that controller. But anyway, back to the lithium aspect. I'm told that I just need to get an updated controller. I'm told the updated controller will have the different battery types that I need. As you can see here, I just have AGMs, gel, and flooded. So I'm just going to leave it on this AGM2 for now, but the updated controller should have a custom setting or a lithium setting to where we can set all that up, and that should set that up to charge the lithium batteries that we add without having to swap everything out. Remember that water heater fix that we did? Well, yeah, it's holding water and not leaking, but now it's not lighting. So we got to figure that out. Let me show you what it's doing. So it has to detect that there's a flow of water. So I've turned the hot water on. I go up here and I hit hot water heater or water heater, and it's giving me this fault. And so try it again, and it's giving me the fault. So what I've discovered by reading the owner's manuals is that there's probably a reset button on the water heater itself, but getting to it is going to be the problem. And unfortunately, it's going to be behind all of those panels that I had to take off previously. So I think we're just going to do without hot water on this little shakedown cruise. And like I said, I'll deal with it whenever we get back to the house and I have plenty of time, plenty of space, plenty of tools. As you can see, our proximity to the bathrooms, we're literally right across the street. So we can take showers and do any kind of hot water oriented things, either by heating water on the stove and using that to wash dishes, or take our showers over there in the bathhouse. One of the other things I was going to touch on is just the difference in the way that we pack and what we bring when we camp versus traveling in Pearl. And as you can see, we bring a lot more chairs, stuff to set up around the campfire. That's my son and daughter-in-law's little rocking chairs there. But we'll go ahead and bring the camp table. I've set up out here, and actually I'm going to be setting up to work a little bit more today on the computer and just be able to enjoy the outdoors. And then we brought a couple of bikes, but for the most part, these are items that we don't normally bring with us on a journey per se. We may bring a couple of chairs, but we don't bring enough for ourselves and others necessarily, because we're not expecting to necessarily meet up with anyone at this point. So on the interior, when we're camping, we generally just kind of go ahead and use the garage area as storage for extra blankets and even some of our coats. This time of year, it's kind of on and again, off again on whether you're going to need a jacket and extra space. Most of our upper storage is used for pillows and bedding, towels, washcloths, then Stacy's stuff, clothing, and then grandson's clothing and some other odd and ends, and then all the bathroom make you pretty stuff, then all of our normal kitchen wares. But we've actually been setting up this bed, and instead of sleeping lengthwise, we've been going, I sleep here, Stacy sleeps in the middle, and then Bennett sleeps back towards the back. And actually it gives us plenty of room. I can kind of sleep a little bit diagonal and have that 6 foot that I need to be able to kind of stretch out. But luckily I'm not any taller than that, so I technically come in at about 5'11". So anyway, and then up here we also make do with toy storage, in bins. And while we're just sitting still and not moving down the road, and we're not having to break this down every day, we can just set these up there on the dash and make those work. And then we can store our bucket of shoes and some extra pops, as well as computer bags and stuff like that, just back behind these seats, where I'm setting up like I'm set up for my normal day of work, and I'm good to go. If you like today's content, please give us a like and smash that subscribe button. We're on a push for our first 1,000 subscribers and would appreciate any help you can give. Otherwise, check out these other videos on your someday drive.